Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear QA Podcast Live, episode 296. Always feels like every time I say that, it feels like that's the end of my week. It's a Friday and the week's over. I can start the show and then start the weekend. All right, so I hope you guys had a beautiful week. I had the strangest week. I live in Arizona and it's pretty much been cloudy and raining all week. So the entire 2023 has been a cloudy, rainy Arizona. Not something we're used to, but there you go. We have a lot to talk about, of course, a lot of subjects, a lot of guitar stuff, a lot of exciting stuff I'm sure to discuss and talk about. Of course, there was people who left questions early, and let me grab another one real quick. I'm grabbing one right now, as I like to highlight them and then put them in this little notepad so I can get to them. All right. Let's just jump into it. I don't have any announcements, so let's do questions. The first early question I got was from Edward, who says, the Friedman little sister or verse, the Black-Cat, and which is the Badcat, Black-Cat. Happy New Year and buy more gears. Oh, no. Okay, so your question to me is which one? Well, I obviously would have to say the Black-Cat. Now, I know what you're thinking, but here's why I have to say it. Because I sold my little sister, twin sister, what is it? Dirty Shirley. So you guys understand, there was an amp called the Dirty Shirley by Friedman. Then they made the Dirty Shirley Mini. Then they brought out the twin sister, which is essentially a 2-channel Dirty Shirley. And then they made the little sister, which replaced the mini Dirty Shirley, which is basically just the Dirty Shirley with the switch, as far as I understand. Okay. That being said, I sold my mini Dirty Shirley after getting the Black-Cat. I still have a twin sister, but to me, that's a different animal. It's 2 channels. And so to answer your question, which one, like what I pick? Well, obviously I kept my Black-Cat and got rid of the Dirty Shirley Mini, which is basically the little sister, because I felt like they were redundant. The amps, guitar tone-wise, distortion-wise, they are different. There's more mids in the Friedman, but they are the same as far as what they do and what I needed from them. But it was nice in the Black-Cat to have reverb, tremolo, which I didn't really want the tremolo, but just having reverb and tremolo and a dedicated clean channel is a lot of features that are hard to beat. So will I get rid of my twin sister? I don't think so. Because I really, like I said last week, I really feel like the Friedman, because I have the small box and the twin sister now. Those are the 2 that I have. And then the Black-Cat and then the amplified Nation amp, I feel like, you know, those are it for what I need. And I don't even mean all, I mentioned 2 Friedmans. I would just pick one. And to be honest with you, I could, you know, that's it. Because I'll use the Kemper for everything else for the most part. But that's what I would pick. My only, you know, thing with the twin sister, which is the little sister, is it's essentially you can roll the distortion off and clean up, or you can use the switch, but essentially it doesn't have a dedicated channel, doesn't have reverb. Those are 2 things that I really enjoy having. Okay, Scott says, hey Phil, do you think Relic guitars that command premium prices are a fad and will run its course, or will they continue to hold their value? So this is one of those questions that we always discuss, you know, gear nerds, guitar players, you know, right? But there's something that I kind of always think about when I think of Relic guitars. It's not about whether people like them or don't like them, or, you know, if they're cool or not cool. I just want to know why something exists. And usually once you kind of figure that out, there's usually a money reason. Most things that exist because of a money reason. Relic guitars generally exist because the real thing is too expensive. I mean, that's what a Relic guitar is. Not just a relic, it's a replica of something in most cases. I'm not saying an outright replica, like, for instance, like when they made the Van Halen guitar, you know, and made a replica of it. But most relics are trying to replicate the look of a guitar that's been well-aged and it's pretty old. And here's the reality. Those guitars are super, super expensive. The whole purpose, you can understand the whole purpose behind Fender relicing guitars in their custom shop. A lot of guitar players like to say it was a money grab. It was a money grab. They were greedy. They figured out they could just beat up guitars and sell them for more money. That's not actually true. The real reason why Fender started doing relic guitars was because they were going to guitar shows. Because you think of relic guitars, you think they've been around for a long time. The relic guitars, for as far as Fender's concerned in the custom shop, early 2000s, right? I mean, I can't remember the year, but it's, you could probably Google it for sure, but early 2000s. I did a video, 5 things that changed the guitar forever, and I think in there was Relic was one of them, and it said the year. Might have been early, actually, it might have been the mid to late 90s. So take that back, in the 90s. The point being, why did they start relicing guitars? Why did Fender start relicing guitars? Since they were really the ones that did it first in a big scale, okay? There's always going to be like, this guy did it in his basement. Or the small builder should get credit. I don't disagree. I'm just saying, when you think of relic guitars, in the mainstream market, it was Fender who definitely popped it huge. They did it because they would go to guitar shows and see vintage Fenders that were beat up going for crazy money. Because if you are old enough to remember the vintage guitar world, because keep in mind the vintage guitar world isn't that old and vintage, because guitars aren't that old and vintage. Guitars that we discuss nowadays when we talk Fenders and Gibsons and maybe Paul Reed Smiths or Rickenbackers or, whatever. When we're talking about electric guitars, we're not talking about Martins, okay? We're talking about electric guitars. We're talking guitars from the 50s forward. This is not a long time. So there was a hierarchy to vintage guitars. In other words, pristine ones. Thank you. Acoustic DC said 1995. Thank you. So again, not very long, right? Here's the thing that's crazy. Vintage guitars were like, the more perfect they were, the more money they'd go for. This is how it was forever. So if you had a perfect condition 62 Strat, right, you would get X dollars. But if it had a mark on it, then it was this. And if it was a faded, or if it was damaged, or if it was missing things, and that's still kind of how it is today. But slowly over time, like the beat up vintage guitars just started getting top dollar too. In fact, everything just started getting top dollar in the vintage market. And the vintage market, in my time in this industry, which I'll say now runs almost 20 years, we've had 2 vintage guitar market peaks that I'm aware of, and I'm not in the vintage market. So obviously, if there's a vintage collector watching right now, they probably go like, no, there was 7 or 2, right? But there are 2 big ones that I took notice of, where all of a sudden the guitar prices of vintage guitars just went crazy skyrocketing, and then came back down again, and then went crazy again. And what happened during those booms, so to speak, is all of a sudden these beat up, ratty guitars would go for top dollar. And when you're a guitar company who builds a guitar basically the same way you did 30, 40 years ago, and somebody is now selling that basic same guitar that you made 30 years ago for $30,000, and it's all beat up, you're like, we can make them look like that. So Fender started making relic guitars. So to answer the question, do I think it's a fad? Do I think it will go away? In the idea that, fluorescent yellow guitars, fluorescent guitars go away, pointy guitars go away. I mean, it never truly goes away, right? But I'm talking about as a mainstream thing. Yeah, it could go away as a fad in the fashion sense, but I think deep down it's a little bit bigger than just a fashion. I think relic guitars are 2 things, and one of them is they're replicas. And because they're replicating something, whether they're replicating it down to every detail or just the general idea of an older guitar, it's just going to be an affordable option. When somebody says, I can't believe somebody paid $4,000 for a replica guitar, you can understand that person was probably looking at a $15,000 vintage style guitar or $20,000, and this was the most reasonable way to get there. Then the other part of relicing, which I always try to remind you guys is that there's more than just beating up guitars for relicing. Relicing is also in the feel of the guitar and how the guitar is broken in. So, the way that they relic a guitar is essentially take some sandpaper, some car keys, right? Freeze it, and then heat it. Watch the nitro crack, and do the checking and stuff. I mean, there's a ton of techniques for that. But keep in mind that at the core of it, the easiest thing, which is just sandpaper, they're doing that to necks all the time now. They're trying to break in the feel of necks, because one of the things that is important to a lot of players, besides the way guitar looks, is the way it feels. And we want a broken in feeling instrument. So, especially older players who have played guitars for a long time, and they're like, whenever they pick up a new guitar, it feels foreign. When I was younger, I remember always thinking I wanted the neck to feel like brand new, like harsh on the edges of the fretboard, harsh. I always felt like that was like better because of the quality. It felt quality to me. But now I kind of want everything rounded over and soft a little bit, because that's what I've been used to playing, because I wear them down playing them. So I guess I answered the question, but also just to say, in the idea that it would go the way of like all the other fad style guitars, I don't think so. I don't think it'll go down the fad line. I think the relicing will change over years, like how extreme it's done, what's done about it, what people look at it for. And keep in mind, it hasn't even had jumped the shark moment with relicing. There's still players every day who are like, I used to not like it 10 years ago, but now it's kind of growing on me. So, and every player who's owned a relic, whether it's an inexpensive vintage, the brand Vintage makes some really affordable relics, or if you go, you get a Road Worn by Fender, which is a very quality, in my opinion, quality relic style guitar. Or if you go crazy, Custom Shop or Fano, or all the other relics, you can, Tom Anderson, a ton of companies make relic stuff. One thing that's nice about a relic guitar is that once you buy a relic guitar, and you kind of, it's a very liberating feeling. A lot of players will tell you this is a habit. It's very like, you don't have to worry about like, oh, I dinged it, or it's messed up. I feel like when a guitar is too perfect for me, it just adds, that whole, it's nothing's worse when you're showing somebody, your friend, your cool guitar, and they're like, that's beautiful. Oh, you got a mark right there. You're like, yeah, I dinged it on the nightstand. But when it's relic, it's like everything looks cool because it's part of the look. So, like I said, I don't think it goes away anytime soon. And if it does go away, it's just like anything else. I'm sure it won't be just the relic part of it that goes away. It's just the whole thing. Then the next question we had was 3J Music, who says, hey, Phil, what advice would you give someone who is fairly new to making gear demo videos, who wants to improve? So I always have to make this clarifying statements first. I don't have to, but I'm going to. I looked at my channel more like a review channel, less like a demo channel. Now, in a review, you demonstrate the product. You have to demonstrate what you have discussed in the video. The reason I tell you that is that the business model, and that's not what you're asking, but you're asking how to improve, but it's part of the business model. The business model for a demo channel and what I call a review channel, which is what I do, to me are different business models. There is, again, crossover. Some demo channels will review the product. What I mean by that, and just to be clear, review to me means somebody is articulating the negatives and the positives about a product and giving you, like, for instance, when somebody goes, I bought this and that's why this is an honest opinion. Okay. And they go, okay, this is what I don't like and like about it. And that's an honest opinion. And it's fair. Okay. It's a fair assessment. What a channel like I have, or what I try to do is to review a product with the, hey, this is what I've done for 20 plus years. This is what I see when I see this product. It doesn't make me an authority of anything. It's just, obviously, this is what I look at day to day. This is what I'm showing you what I see. Okay. So this is what's good about it. This is what's bad about it, in my opinion. And there it is. So it's very opinion-based. I'm a very opinion-based channel about product. The reason I say that is, if you were going to demo product, and your question is, which your question was, is what advice would I give someone to fairly making good practice all the time? To be a demo channel, to me, demo channels are obviously Pete Thorne, RJ Rinquillo. I'm trying to think some more. Sean Tubbs, Jay Leonard J, where they obviously are reviewers, but they are all admittedly demo channels more so. In other words, they're there to really show you the product and what it does. Like, they're here to show it off, okay? And we need that. I need that. I don't know about you guys, but I need to see that. I need to see like what's the, it's kind of like what's this product capable of doing. So if you're going to be a demo channel, I would say 2 skills that you need to work on and improve. Your playing, because that's essentially what your job is to do, is make the product sound really good and be really good, which is also why you need to also simultaneously improve your playing and your recording ability. And then also, if you're going to be a gear channel, a demo channel, you need to really work on working with companies, because companies are going to be a big part of that. Demo channels can't survive without sponsorship. In my experience, I've never seen, I don't say never, I have not seen or do not know a personal demo channel that doesn't work 100% or majority wise with a company in a sponsored format. So there you go. As a review channel, for instance, I dabble both, right? If I have a company that's willing to work with me and everything lines up in a perfect, all boxes checked, then we do the video. Otherwise, I have to pull from my own resources and do the video, or I have patrons, or I have support through you guys through do that stuff. So on the demo channel, I answer your question just so you know as what I anticipate what you said, which is you want to be a demo channel. But as a review channel, I would give you totally different advice. But that's my advice if you're going to be a demo channel. Improve your playing, improve your recording, learn how to work with companies, because, and again, everybody's going to have different experiences. In my experience, as soon as a company, majority of companies, 8 out of 10, as soon as they don't like what you said in a video or did, that's the last time you're ever going to hear from that company ever again. The list of companies that I have done videos for in the past that just will not talk to me anymore is a pretty long list. And it's longer than the list of companies who do work with me and continue to work with me because I did or said or showed something that they didn't appreciate, or more importantly, they just didn't see the need to work with you if they're not going to get what they want out of it, which is whatever they want. And that's why a demo channel is great, because, you just show off the product. There's no integrity lost in that. So there you go. All right. Let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Red Furry 23G says, I wish I could afford a cool camera. I'd totally make videos. So only thing I can tell you is Red Furry 23G is this. This is how I started my YouTube career. I had a, I don't know what I have. Let me tell you. So I can tell you exactly. This is a Samsung phone. Okay. I don't know what model this is. I think it's 21. I'm pretty sure when I started my channel, it was a 10. That sounds right to me. So I started my channel with a Droid phone. I continue to use that same phone. And I had this adapter that would plug into it and let me plug in a microphone to put in front of the speaker, and a little long lapel. I had a long wire that went from my phone all the way onto my shirt. And sometimes I could plug a little shotgun. So I could plug 2 little mics in this little mixer that went into my phone. I did that until I had 120,000 subscribers. In fact, so you know, I would have continued to this day only using my phone. But I was invited in 2017 in October, maybe September, October, to GitCon, which was Henning Poly had set up this thing where a bunch of YouTubers go to Germany and interact with each other. And I was embarrassed to tell the other YouTubers that I had only been using a phone this entire time. And I think I had 20 million views and 130,000 subs, or 120,000 subs. And so I bought a MacBook Pro laptop and took that with me, and a camera that I just bought. And it was hell. It was the hardest thing I ever did on YouTube, because the whole time I was at the event, I had to film everything twice. I filmed it once with my phone and then once with a camera on the computer, because I had no idea how to use the camera in the computer yet. I had never worked with any kind of editing software on my phone. So you guys know, I still have it. It's right here. It's called Power Director. If you have a Droid, I have an iPhone too, which is very sad, but sad world I live in now. Anyways, the Power Director app, I pay $2.99 for it. I think it's like $20 a year or something like that. And that's how I edited all the videos. So keep in mind, I was filming, editing, everything on my phone. Those videos, like I said, not only got me 100,000 subs, they also, they took those videos and posted them on Guitar World. There's 26 some of those videos have been posted on Guitar World, or 22 of them out of the 30 or whatever. And I did all that with my phone. I had no idea what a YouTuber was or why you would want to be a YouTuber. I literally started posting some videos on Facebook for my buddy Matt, and had the store, and I just thought it was something to do. Obviously, I was watching channels all the time. I was watching like Fluff, and I was watching Chapman. I was watching the Tone King. I was watching I think I was watching Glenn Fricker at the time too. I think I watched Henning a little bit. I definitely watched Scott Grove. I think Will's Easy Guitar. I'm trying to think all the ones I watched. Like I watched all these channels, and so I was aware that there was YouTube, right? Because I was watching it. But I wasn't like, I had no concept of anyone getting anything for it. So it wouldn't occur to me to do it for like any kind of business model. I was just like, oh, okay. I remember the first time it was F pedals. The first time a company ever reached out to me was F pedals, and they wanted to send me a free pedal, which by the way sold for like $59, $60 on Amazon. And I was like, why? Why would you send me this for free? So this isn't like a story like where some channels that have been doing this so long, they remember before that. I just didn't know that's what they were doing. To answer your question about the camera, I literally done it on a phone. And so a lot of my videos are still shot on a phone. And I'm sure you can't tell because I switch between my real cameras and my phone all the time, different videos, different lighting. It's to me, it's a workflow thing. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have time. I'll just use the phone. I film with the phone. I use a different interface, of course, now. And a lot of the stuff, I've improved a lot of stuff. But so the know your gear philosophy, I can tell you right now, the quality, if you think I feel like the quality of the channel has definitely improved over the years, the audio, the video, whatever. Most of it has to do with just learning the skills of doing that more so than better equipment. Because I can tell you, I bought a ton of equipment, everything from Blackmagic switching to extremely expensive cameras to extremely expensive gear. When I went to Henning's, I just bought pretty much everything he had. And what I learned is that works for him, but it doesn't work for me. So I had to learn what works for me. So I just want you guys to know you can do YouTube with literally anything. There you go. In fact, here's another thing. I'll rat out two people since I rat myself out. I used a phone up to 100,000 subscribers. I can tell you right now, I don't think Pete Thorne switched from 720p to 820. I think he was 720p up until like a year ago. Because it was faster to upload. He just did it because it was faster to upload. So you don't have to have 4K. You don't have to all that stuff. It doesn't seem to matter. My videos, when I post them, they're all over the place. I had a video a couple weeks ago that went viral, a couple 100,000 views, and it was filmed in 4K, uploaded in 4K, and there was a problem with it. We had to download it. Some nasty thing happened, and I had to dumb it down to 1080 for a faster upload. And then I just said, screw it, let's just launch it. So, I mean, no one went, oh, how come this wasn't 4K like the one before? How come this one's 720? So you get the idea. There you go. So in other words, no excuses. Just film and go. And then since there was two questions about YouTube, let me give you the best, worst advice you can ever have. If you want to be successful on YouTube, make lots of content all the time. There you go. That's it. Success on these platforms is not a sniper rifle. It is a machine gun. I know that sounds horrible to say it that way. It just is a great visual. It's not about picking a target. It's about putting as much out as possible and seeing what hits. That's how YouTube works. I can tell you right now, I never have any clue what hits and why. I know people tell me all the time or accuse me all the time. Like, oh, he did that for clickbait or he did this for this. I have no idea. I have no idea why one video hits and not another. I usually don't think about it or care. So, like I said, I just look at it as like was that video, did I like making it, and does the core audience seem to engage? So let's go back to guitar stuff. Let's see. One Imperial Fact Saint says, I'm loving the honesty right now. I've been looking to upgrade my camera from photography to videography, but I hate editing, so LOL. Yeah, that's the one thing that sucks, man. If you hate editing, what's the best thing I heard this last year was, like, you know, those memes that they put on the internet where they're like, what my parents think I do, you know, what my wife thinks I do, you know what I mean? What my friends think I do and what I really do, you know, those kind of things. There's like one for YouTubers, and it's definitely true. It's like, you know, it's like what people think I do, and it's like playing guitar and having fun. It's like what, you know, what my friends think I do. It's like, begging for money. And it was like what I really do, and it's like sit in front of a computer and edit all day. All right. Okay. James Martin Stanov, hey Phil, what about the Eden preamp made you stick with it? He's talking about the fact that I use an Eden preamp for pretty much everything. I can tell you it works, it's good, and I try not to, just like my real gear, obviously, like I said, don't confuse my YouTube persona life that unfortunately comes with being on a platform with real life. Look, obviously every week there's a new product for me to talk about. I'm not changing my gear every week. Okay. Like I said, I'm exploring gear for the purpose of this, which is to share with everybody, because you know, this is the ability that I have. You know, once you're in a situation like what I walked into, where you can try out new gear constantly, at least I believe the benefit is I get a cool gig. This is fun to do, and I get to share with you experiences, and we get to learn about stuff and keep moving. And sometimes this works for you, and sometimes it doesn't for you. And the reason I say that is with my bass preamp, it's like there's nothing. If I reviewed bass gear more, I would probably have a new bass preamp every month, but probably stick with my Eden. If you look at my rear gear, which is why I did my Princeton video just recently, that was my wife asked me to do that video. That was, I told you, she's now going through you guys' questions through what I miss on the live shows and trying to get a sense of, you know, what I'm missing so we can add value later. And a lot of the questions that I'm missing, she's writing them down or she's saving them and she's asking me. And that Princeton one was one, somebody asked me why I had my Princeton for so long. That led me to my video, why I still have my Princeton after 10 years. So that was a video that somebody asked about, you guys asked about, my wife suggested it, I put it together. So on the bass rig, I would say the same thing with Eden thing. It has its faults, it has its flaws, just like my Princeton. I've just had it for a long time. I really like it. And it's a know your gear thing. I just know it. I know how it's going to react. I know how that Princeton reacts to a humbucker versus a single coil. So I'm never afraid of it. One thing that's, let me put it this way. I review gear, like I'll get a new amp and I'll do a video of it. But there's no way I would take that over and start jamming with somebody with it the first night out. I mean, I know a lot of people do that. I've never done that. A lot of players will literally go to a music store and buy a piece of gear that day and take it. I'm taking it to the gig, maybe to band practice. I understand that, but taking it to the gig tonight, I'm like, not me. I got to know, you know what I mean? How does it work in this different rooms? And so that's why if I had the time and the money and the inkling, I would probably buy the Aguilar Tone Hammer, which is another preamp that I actually think I like more than the Eden preamp. But I like to think of gear a lot of times, if it's not broke, don't fix it. In other words, the Eden preamp sounds good. It works great. So I don't necessarily need to replace it. There's nothing about it that's like, oh no, I need something new. But if I was looking to buy a preamp right now, I might buy the Aguilar. I think it sounds cool. So that's it. That's there you go. Okay. Christopher Pond, I just want to answer this real quick. I like these kind of questions. I recently watched a video of yours a few years ago back about the best bass brand for under $600. I'm curious if you still maintain the opinion that Schecter is the best brand, that price. Those videos, I have been loathing, dragging my sorry ass on this idea. I did all these videos. I did a ton of these, and they went over really great. Best guitars under this price, and I made these really long lists. It wasn't that it's a lot of work. It's not. I'm just really depressed making them again, but I need to make them all again because of the inflation, the world, the changes. I need to do it because those videos became dated in just a couple years really badly. And that sounds like no big deal. But I mean, a lot of the great thing about making guitar content is it, you know, when you review a Strat, it doesn't really get dated very quickly. But those videos became dated because the market's so much different than it was just a few years ago. So I got to update it. The problem is just thinking about it makes me depressed, you know, because everything went up so much in price. So to answer your question, I don't know. I'd have to redo everything and experience it all and do it again. So I am going to do that. And it will be this year. I will do all those videos again this year. Best guitars under this price, best guitars, basses under this price. I like those videos. I think they're fun. They're just, you know, popcorn videos, right? You just sit back and listen to somebody talk about all the stuff you like, which is different brands. And like I said, I usually have a logic of why I'm picking a brand over another brand. And like I said, I like that kind of popcorn video. I like it where it's like, you know, there's no pressure for you guys. You just watch and you don't have to go like, oh, I hope it doesn't sell me a new instrument that I don't need, right? With a new video of excitingness. So I'll definitely revive that. Like I said, I needed some time to go by. It's just because, like I said, the inflation was so bad, so fast that a lot of us just feel it all the time. Luis says, hey, Phil, will you be reviewing the SE DGT? My video will come out on January 10th. That's the embargo date. In other words, Paul Reed Smith will be releasing the new product line on this January 10th. And then what happens is, you know, just like when they did the Silver Sky or their pedals, they just tell me like, please don't release the video before then. So I'll be releasing mine on the 10th, probably early in the morning. So I've had it for a while. I already tell you, it's good. In fact, I don't want to overhype it, but there's more SEs too that I'm reviewing, new ones. And this is the only thing I want to say about them. I'm not going to say that they're bad. This is the best one they ever made. This is the best SEs ever. No, they're just SEs and they're really good. However, the one thing about them, all of the ones I just reviewed, the SEs, the one thing in common that I thought was really interesting is this is the closest, and I think I said this a couple weeks ago too, this is the closest the necks I've ever felt on the SEs to me to the cores. Like where I'm like, wow, this feels just like the core neck, right? Where usually the SE necks are they feel a little different thicknesses, different widths, you know, and things. These seem really, really good. If you played the core, then you played the SE, where sometimes I have to caution people, like the SE feels different than the core. A lot of people talk about the quality, but besides quality, there's just a feel difference. They change, you know, different dimensions. Robert Taylor says, is the Fender Custom Shop hardtail Strat worth the price? Here's what I will tell you about Fender Custom Shop product. I own 4 Fender Custom Shop guitars. I have said this before. They're not worth it. They laugh. Oh, there's one behind me. There's a blue one right there. I was going to say, there's one. There's one in front of me too. I cannot decipher that the quality is somehow better than my American Professional 2 Stratocaster. There's just nothing about them. I like the vibe of them. I like the look of them. I like, you know, what they are that's different. You know, they're just kind of like vintagey, or I like the Wildwood guitar. I like the neck profile being 10-inch radius, and I like their pickups are a little hotter than the normal pickups. I mean, I like them. And I'm a guitar freak who literally talks about guitars every freaking week and makes videos about guitars every day and works on guitars all the time and makes my own pickups. And you can understand. So I'm invested in this. This is it for me. Like, I'm just addicted to guitar crap. So as an addicted person, like a person who's addicted to anything, them sticking stupid price tags on things only stop me if I physically can't figure out now at this point how to trade into that thing or get that thing. So that being said, are they worth it? Yeah, I know. No, they're not worth it. They're just, if you want it, you want it. That's the only thing I can tell you. But the reason I say it that way is because I want to give you the answer very evenly handed. In other words, if you want a Fender Custom Shop hardtail and you can afford it, freaking buy it. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. If it's not putting you, financial, problems, if you got the cash to do it, buy it. However, if you think you're going to get this guitar and it's going to literally, the case is going to open and the lights will come on and the angels will sing and you've played no Fender as good as this, I think you won't like how it ends, right? So that's why I say that. I have a realistic expectation of a custom shop Fender, which is it's a cool looking guitar. It's fit and finished really well. Slightly better than a production Fender guitar that's been done well. Slightly. And that's it. That's it. Like anything, you know, the more expensive it gets, it's the law of diminishing returns. They're just, once you get to those price points, man, I don't know what, you know, you got to have a realistic expectation of what you're buying at this point. So Valis says, why do you have 4 of them? Well, I have the copper Strat, which was my, not my first custom shop Strat, but my main custom shop Strat. And then I have a Journeyman, which is like a vintage Strat, because I wanted a vintage style Strat with like vintage style pickups and everything. And then I bought a Wildwood Strat. And then I also have a custom shop Telly that I had before. So that's why. And so to answer your question, Valdes, I hope I'm saying that, Valdes, I own them the same reason I own everything, because it appealed to me. And if there was a different version of it, I mean, Fender's marketing is perfect, right? It's the Wildwood 10 Strat isn't available as a production guitar. Like, it's like you can't get a lacquer, cool color finish. I mean, it's like a lot of things, you know, it's unique. And I wanted it and it was cool. But like, for instance, if Squire had those same features and it read the same way, I would probably go for the Squire. Again, it's the features I'm after. And that's why I said they're smart. Companies are smart. They know when people want things that are a little bit different to put premium on them, because it's not going to be the normal thing. When I play a guitar, my daily player is going to be my Fender American Professional Strat, because I like it and it's good. But when I want something a little bit different, I go the different way. So. Somebody says, I thought the Wildwood pickups are underwound. They could be underwound, but they are hotter. They push harder than my other vintage style pickups. They're more aggressive. They push the amp over. I'm not sure. I never looked at what the specifications are. It wasn't something, when I bought the Wildwood Strat, I wasn't really after their pickups. I never really thought about it that way. I can throw different pickups in a guitar if I want. I was after that fretboard and the look of the guitar. So, but to me, out of all my Strats, I can tell you this, out of all my Strats, the Wildwood 10 pickups are the most aggressive sounding. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going with questions. Okay, Richard took this we're going to a dark place. Richard says, does anyone else want to be buried with their favorite guitar? Man, we have to I'd rather talk about favorite guitar than being buried with it. So I guess that's the question. He wants to know if anyone wants to be buried with their favorite guitar. I do not want to be buried with my favorite guitar. I don't want to be buried. See, this is, I don't know if you guys, it doesn't matter. Here's all you have to know. I'm going to keep it easy when it comes to my guitars and what happens when I'm gone, right? When I'm gone, I've donated my body to science. So I'm just letting you know. So what happens is if I pass away, then they just take my body to science, and I guess they use it for whatever, and then they cremate me, and then my wife will throw my ashes somewhere in the garden, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's basically, so you know, I have I don't care. So that being said, what happens to my guitars after I'm gone? I don't care. I think I know it's always a question. It's based in seriousness. Like, you know, what guitar would you be buried with, or how? And there are famous guitar players, obviously, buried with the famous guitars. However, I don't want to do that. It doesn't go with my personality. In other words, like, I would hate the idea that a guitar, especially a guitar I really care about, is just trapped in a box under the ground. Like, I'd rather have somebody have it. So there you go. So what will happen with my guitars? I can tell you exactly. Here's what's going to happen if I pass away. My wife's going to sell all my guitars. She already told me. The kids may keep one. She may keep one. I don't know. I doubt it. This is actually advice I can give you if you ever want to think about this and your children. I have lost both my parents in my lifetime, and what I can tell you from those experiences is that whatever they thought I was going to hold on to, or as other family members were going to kind of focus on, that's not what we focused on. It's not what mattered to us. So it's weird. So I don't look at this as like, kids, when I pass away, this will be your guitar. Like, they don't care. So just, I hope they, like I said, take whatever they want, sell the rest, use the money, go on vacation, have a good life. So there you go. So the rest of you probably have a great answer to that question. I hated that I have a horrible answer. I'd like to give you maybe for the fun of the game, I should just pick a guitar, right? And say what guitar would be the guitar that want to be buried with. What's funny is I want to pick the guitar I play every day, but then I don't. I want to pick a guitar that's kind of exciting and different. So I think, to be honest with you, I think if I was going to be buried with one guitar, it'd be my Fender Telecaster. And the reason is because just in case I have to battle the devil's guitar player, like Ralph Macchio, I figure a Tele, maybe I'll have a shot. I don't know. I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm being truthful. Like, I guess I'll take the Tele with me. But other than that, I don't plan to take any guitars with me. You can't take it with you is what they say, and I think they're right, so you know. Let's see. Miss Anthrope says, hey, I saw the video on the Ibanez SML 721. The S bodies look really comfy. How do they feel overall about comfort, quality, sitting and playing Ibanez? They feel fantastic. They're very ergonomic. They feel good. They seem a little thin, so you think like maybe it'll cut into you or somewhere, but no, it's not. It's really just ergonomic and feels great. It's a fantastic guitar. So, like I said, I was really, really impressed with that guitar. That was one of those, Sweetwater reached out real fast and said, hey, Ibanez is coming out with some new guitars. Would you be interested in checking out any? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And so they sent that one out, and just reminded myself we didn't box it up and ship it back today. So I guess that's what we're doing tomorrow. So we got to get it out and ship tomorrow. Corey wants to know, what's my favorite pickup configuration? Probably humbucker single, I would say, is my favorite. And then after that, humbucker. So. Curtis says, is Nathan's PRS going in the grave with you? No, I wouldn't do that. I don't think that'd be nice to do. Again, like I said, I just, no thought. I just don't have any, like, this is going with me. Cause I think it's cause deep down, I know it's not going with me. I know I feel so, boring in these answers in this discussion, but it's just the truth. I don't think it's going to go with me. So that's why I don't want it locked under the ground. I'd rather it go to somebody that can use it. So, all right, let's change gears. Here we go. Derek says, can you compare greenback? No, we did this question last week. That's not the question. It was from Craig. Says, Happy New Year. Thoughts on coil splitting the DiMarzio chopper T, push-pull knob, or use a 4 or 5-way switch? I like the chopper. Get to the chopper. I like the chopper coil split. I think it does a really good job. Probably because of the way that the blade works on it. I just think it sounds great. Actually, I like it as a single coil better than some single coils, which is saying a lot, especially when it's coil split. I would do push-pull. I don't like the 5-way switch. Every guitar that has any kind of the 5-way switch done, it's because that's how I bought the guitar. But if I swap any of that stuff out, if I change out anything, the first thing I do is kill that and go to a push-pull. It's just how I like to do things, but it's just the way I like to. I like everything to be as a switch or a push-pull. I don't like to find the spots on a 5-way switch. It's not intuitive to me to do that. Mark says, Phil, love what you do for us guys whose girlfriends DGAF about gear. So I think it's do not give any fractals. Okay, do not give a fractal. Okay, so he says, Hey, I love what you do for us guys whose girlfriends don't give a fractal about guitars. You keep us connected. Thoughts on the Paul Reed Smith 5815 LT pickups on Sweetwater? I like those pickups. The 5815 LT pickups, they're in some of my guitars. I think that's what's in my Hollow Body too. I had a 594 with them, the low turned ones. They're good. I like them. See the tone? It's that. I like them. You know, if they were in my Paul Reed Smith guitar, I'd be like, yes, I like them. I have no desire to change them, but I have no desire to, well, I guess the best way to put PRS pickups is like this. I have no strong desire ever to pull the Paul Reed Smith pickups like the 5815s or the 5708s or any of those pickups, 5909s, the metals. When in guitars, when I get them, there's nothing that says like change these. I don't want to change them. But I've never stuck a Paul Reed Smith pickup in any guitar that wasn't a Paul Reed Smith. So that's you know, like again, me personally, 5815 LTs, I don't know what they go for, but I would get a set of Gibson pickups and stick them in. I like the Gibson pickups predominantly. I have more Gibson pickups in my guitars than probably any brand of pickup. Well, okay, that's not true. I have more of the black stock pickups in my guitars, but that is mostly because it's a lot cheaper for me to make a pickup than it is to buy these pickups. So I like my pickup, but you know, obviously the reason I have the most of them. So excusing the fact that it's just a lot cheaper for me to make a pickup than buy a pickup, Gibson's are the most pickups for my guitars are Gibson pickups. Rafi says, hey Phil, I got a Harley Benton Fusion T for a mod platform. Stainless steel frets are super gritty. Do I polish them the same way? Nickel frets, any specific tools? Yeah, you can polish them the same way. I have polishing videos on all the ways to polish a fret. All those would apply to stainless steel. There's really nothing exponentially different that you have to worry about. So yeah, you can use it. Especially when we're talking about polishing to get the grit off, you can, any of that stuff works. 3M pads work. You know, the D'Addario, which is basically 3M sheets. The 3M sheets work. The micro mesh works. The steel wool works. The Gorgamite works. Like I said, I have a whole video where I did all the polishing things, and the whole point was to show you this price spectrum, and pretty much everything worked. Some stuff was better than others, but you know, anything that's in your budget will polish up the fret just fine. And you'll be good. And so, yeah, on a stainless steel fret, you don't have to worry about anything. It's not going to wear faster. It's not going to wear out anything. It's just polishing. And polishing is not the same as filing and sanding. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I apologize. Octopus Ear says, have I played a Heritage H150? Thanks. Let me look at the Heritage H150. As soon as you name a guitar, letters and numbers, I cannot remember anything about it. It's like H Core 150. Oh, Safari can't open this. Find a different server. What? Well, why am I using Safari then? Maybe I'll have to switch. Let me switch because it doesn't like. Here it is. Here it is. Oh, okay. So the H150 is their Les Paul. Ta-da! Yes, I have played those. Is that the question? Was that the question? It's not the question, is it? Have you played one? Have you played one? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I have octopus ears. I have played one. Why do I not own a Heritage? It is super easy. I never thought of owning a Heritage in my entire life. It never was on my radar. And hell, and to be honest with you, probably most of my guitar playing life, I didn't even know they existed. It's not something, none of the guitar players I like played one. And so it wasn't a brand on my kind of radar. When I had a store, it was not a brand again that we would ever consider, because we already had a bunch of brands and we weren't interested in them. My first kind of first time I ever exposed him was Marty Schwartz. He was playing Heritages, and he was playing their ES335 style and their Les Paul style guitar. And I something I found endearing about back when Marty played those, I kind of felt like he was independent. The guitar, that brand was independent. So then I started researching and learning about the vibe and how it all worked. And, it was the employees that, from Gibson, when they left, they kept the factory and they kept it going, making them the old way. And then in a way that you can never imagine, I was like, I think I want to buy a Heritage. This is probably 2017. I go, I want to buy a Heritage, and believe it or not, I just want to sell my Gibsons and get a Heritage, and I think that's, who I am. I'm not really the big corporate guy. I'm more of the small guy, so I want the small company. And then if you couldn't plan it in a million years, Heritage out of nowhere sends me an email, and I was like, all right. And they go, we want to send you a guitar to check out. I'm like, yes. And they sent me this guitar, which I have a video. You can check it out. It's in my only Heritage video. The video did great. Apparently, they were very happy. It sold a lot of guitars. I remember calling them because there was some issues with the guitar. And I said, look, there's some issues with this guitar because I'm a review channel, not a demo channel. So again, I got to discuss these things. And they said, well, it's because that's a demo model and it's been touring to go to guitar stores in the NAMM show. And that's why there's marks and stuff on it. And I go, oh, okay. So I did the video, and long story short, I think I told this 1,000 times already. I feel like I said, I want to buy a Heritage now. I want to be a Heritage player. And when we were at the NAMM show, Summer NAMM, there was one on the wall I loved. And I go, I want to buy this. And they go, well, you can't buy it. We got to go to the next guitar show in Dallas. And I go, oh, okay. Well, when it's done, I want to buy it. And they're like, okay, we'll think about it. And I was like, okay, I just want to buy a Heritage guitar and promote Heritage because I think you guys are cool and I think this idea is cool. And then the next thing that happened was the employees walked out on the company, and that's when everything went bad. And then one of the employees reached out to me and said they wanted me to come on the show and talk about it. And I said, I don't know much about it, but long story short, I guess there was this problem. All of that is why I don't have a Heritage. I feel like I have to tell you that because that's the only reason I don't have a Heritage. That's it. That's it. Like I said, it's no more than that. I would have bought one, but and I even tried to buy a couple, since then. So, I look and stuff. And as you guys know, I don't like really heavy guitars. A lot of times they're 10 pounds. And I've even tried to buy, the only thing with Heritage, in my opinion, is you have to buy them new because they used to not hold value, which was great because you could get them for a song. But now half the time I'm looking at them used, I can buy a Gibson for that same price. And I kind of feel like, okay, for the resale value, maybe I'll stay with a Gibson. So since that video, think about this. Since the video where I reviewed a Heritage and they told me did really great for them and they like to do more videos. And I said, great, I'd like to buy some guitars. I've probably bought 7 or 8 Gibsons. So, but I don't work with Gibson. I don't work with them really either. So it doesn't really matter to me. It's just, like I said, that's just nothing. The stars didn't line up for a Heritage. If it ever does, I will buy one. I really like them. I like the idea of them. It's like this G&L, I would, G&L, and actually, I guess that's the hardest part. G&L and Heritage just they're not ready for the internet world. They're very antiquated companies, in my opinion, in their mindsets. So, it's just about, you just got to find one you like and buy one. So there you go. PW says, hey, heard of Solo King guitars? I've not heard of Solo King guitars. Saw some on Reverb, low dollar Chinese, but some with roasted flame maple necks or solid rosewood necks. Suspicious about quality? Yeah, I would be. Look, there's a trend on my channel if you haven't noticed. When I review the whoa, can you believe this price guitars? There's two things which is why I haven't done any in a little while. I would only do the ones that were selling through Amazon because I've worked with a lot of these companies and a lot of them are shisty and horrible and crappy. And I don't know if those are all the bad words I'm supposed to say, but they're horrible. And so one of the nice things about Amazon is if I'm recommending a brand, if I'm saying, because like I've told you guys, I've learned the hard way. Even if I tell you guys this is horrible and don't buy it, for some reason it sells a lot. So I have no control of what the internet does with the video I make. So I liked Amazon because I feel like if you bought one of these guitars and you had a different experience than me, therefore you have the protection of Amazon, which is a very strong protection system, right? And what I found is, interesting enough, some companies have really made me nervous as more and more of these companies that are selling these really cheap guitars that sell on Amazon, they're constantly like their plan is to get off Amazon and get you to go direct their website. I am not a big fan of going to their website. It's why I don't really talk about Donner guitars anymore in any way, shape, or form, because you could buy Donner on Amazon. My first video with Donner was, "Is this the best guitar on Amazon?" or some title like that, right? And now it was like Donner came to me later and was like, "Let's do some more, but you have to send them to our website." And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I'm not saying anything bad about Donner. I don't know anything bad about Donner. I've not heard anything bad about Donner. What I'm saying is that a lot of these brands that I'm not really confident in, I feel more confident if I know the selling platform. See, to me, there's a marriage of confidence. It's like, okay, they're selling you inexpensive product and through a system where you can get returns if there's a problem. So that's what I'm saying is, when there's a brand, a lot of you guys like to send me brands every day. Somebody sends me an email saying, "Hey Phil, you got to check out this weird brand that you found that you're excited about." And the thing that you have to consider is that when you recommend a guitar to your friends, maybe 2 or 3 of your friends, maybe 1 or 2 buys one, and if they have a good or bad experience, that's great. When I recommend guitar, they could sell 1,000 of these things. I have no control of what happens with a video. I've done guitars and people sell 5 things. I've done videos where they sold $1 million worth of product in the first 24 hours. It's happened multiple times. It's not guaranteed by any means and not likely to happen all the time, but it has happened. And my point is, I don't want to be the recipient of the 500 emails of people going, "Man, this was really horrible." So, and again, I don't work for these companies, so I don't want to be attached to them in that way. But I also, like I said, I understand that I'm lending my brand to their brand anytime I'm talking about their products. So, so that's the thing with that. So again, that's why I don't do that stuff. And again, that's the whole point of this show, is to have these discussions so you guys know, right? Maybe it matters to you. I don't know. But like I said, I like giving the backstories on this stuff. I'm dealing with a company right now. And well, just so you know, some of these companies that do this import inexpensive stuff sometimes become the sketchiest companies I've dealt with. I have one company that's trying to extort us, which is kind of funny. But I don't think they understand the internet. They're threatening. So I'm not making this up. It's a company that basically sent us a product. Obviously, they're not paying us. So they just asked for exactly that, a review. They sent a product. The product was broken. We told them it's broken. I reached out to another YouTube channel who's actually reviewed the product. It's not a guitar. It's actually a laser engraving thing because I wanted to use it on a DIY kit build. And another channel spent hours on a Zoom call with me. We discovered through comparing mine to his and all the things we go through that it's broken. I told them it's broken and that we need to send it back. They said I have to pay to send it back. And then I'm like, well, you sent it to me broken. How am I, right? Well, how am I responsible to pay for it to go back? You should pay for it to send it, get it back. And then their funny thing, their threat was they're threatening. So if you see them, you'll know who it is because I'm telling you, they're threatening to go on my videos and tell you guys in the comments that I am a horrible person because they sent me this unit and I still have not reviewed it. And I refuse to pay to send it back to them. Although I've openly said, if you send me any kind of return label, I will box it up and ship it right back, no problem. And it is still broken. So when you see a company apparently posting on my videos, hey, I just want you to know the funny story. So that's why I don't like the fly-by-night weird companies that don't seem to, because that's the kind of weirdness you get from these companies. They seem really confused to me. And so, the takeaway I get is they don't care that the product's broken. They just want me to make a video and tell you it's great, even if it's broken. And I'm like, that's not how it works here. So Litvey says, greetings from Japan. What? You're in Japan? So Litvey's in Japan right now. New guitar day, something I looked for 5 years, Gibson style short scale neck, pickup cutaway thin jazz box by Greco. Desert Island guitar, amazing acoustic electric. So he just wants to share he had a great guitar day, and I'm sure it's because you got it in Japan. I'm assuming you got it in Japan. You're in Japan. That's really cool. Congratulations. Alex says, with the 2018 Gibson Custom Shop layoffs, would it be a bad idea to buy a 2018 historic Les Paul online? It's hard to find them in person, so I'd have to buy blindly. what are the good and the bad years? Gibson, there are years I prefer in their specifications, okay? I have heard, like all of you, there's bad years, there's good years. I obviously think the COVID years are going to be considered some of the worst years for a lot of companies because the QC fit and finish, which is horrible as an average. Reviewing guitars, I can definitely see already again as of I'd say June of last year, as the COVID, as the supply chain issues, as the employee things improved a little bit. Already the guitars I'm getting to review again are already better than they were during those 2 years of the COVID kind of black hole. That being said, I think anytime you buy Gibson, that's the thing about Gibson, man. Gibson is like I said, it's like the casino. You're taking a shot no matter what you do. I bought a ton of Gibsons, used, new, online, in person. Gibson is a brand you definitely want to hopefully try to put your hands on it first. The only thing you do when you buy online is hope for the best, because they change the specs on their necks all the time. And there's a lot of handwork involved. And when there's a handwork involved, there's variance. And that's one of the things. We talk about quality like it's a failure of quality, but it's also how they built their reputation, their brand. They built it on the, that. I don't know why I'm laughing. I feel like I'm not trying to spin the Gibson thing in a positive way. I'm just trying to be honest about it. Okay. The Gibson quality has a variance because the fact that that's by design. I think that people like it. They like it when they get the Magic Gibson. So to answer your question, the only thing you can do is like the rest of us, you can hopefully buy from a reputable person, a reputable place. And if you have we're going to buy online, returns got to be something that's got to be, if you get something that's defective or something that's not what it claims to be, or, otherwise you're doing like everybody else. You're taking a chance like the rest of us. 2018, I have a 2018 Gibson somewhere. So, I mean, I don't know. Can't imagine it's, like I said, you can get a bad Gibson in a year or a good one in a year. Brian Dead Scott. All right. It's Brain Dead Scott, not Brian. All right. It's an unpopular opinion, okay, to like just the slight grit to the frets rather than mirror polish. I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion. It's not common to like that. It's not like when you say unpopular, it's like there's no pushback. No one go, oh, you like gritty frets. I would say I don't know anybody who likes gritty frets, but I know people who don't like them to be really polished, smooth, and glassy. So they like a little bit of resistance on them. So when they do the bends, it depends. And I can tell you this: I used to play 9-gauge strings forever, on everything, forever, like years. I don't care what guitar it was. Everything got 9s. 9 to 42, all D'Addario. It was just that way. Done. And I never thought about frets. And I never thought about action. And I didn't think about anything. They were easy to play for me. And then I switched to 10s. And as you know now, I do use different gauge strings on the guitars, but the majority of my guitars are 10s, 10 to 46s. And when I went to 10s, they felt a little bit more natural to me. I feel like I needed the strings to be a little bit more taut, because when I'm doing bends, I felt like I wasn't going as crazy with my bends. I felt it was a little better. But I also became very aware of everything else around the string. In other words, how polished the fret was, how low the action was. Like everything just became like, I need everything else to be right, because I'm kind of playing the string that's a little more taut than I normally play. So I think I could tell you right now, like if you gave me a guitar with some gritty frets and the action's just a little high with some 10s, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is hard. But if you had me that same guitar with 9s, I would just play it and wouldn't think anything of it, because I'm not playing with any effort. I can bend a 9-gauge strings pretty effortlessly. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just like I said, it's not everybody's focused on it. He says, anyways, he said, just enough grit to resonate a note with vibrato. Maybe I'm just playing wrong. No, and it also, remember, different players, different things. Some players do bends more. Some players play legato. Some players play tapping. I mean, what you play really affects what you need the guitar to do, what kind of guitar it is, everything. So If it doesn't matter to you, it's kind of like when somebody says, "Oh, this bridge pokes me in the hand," but some players don't notice it because they don't put their hand there on the same guitar. So, Kevin, hold on, buddy. Kevin says, my Dane Electro 57 single cut has stolen my heart. Who makes the best lipstick 2 pickups? I think it's Dane Electro. For blues, regardless of price. I have begged Steve, the owner of Dane Electro, to make pickups. They make pickups for their guitars, but they are not standard fit, and they will not fit in most guitars. I don't know why I like his pickups better. They're probably the same pickups as everybody else. A lipstick pickup is... I did a video a few years back. It was kind of cracking me up. It's before... I did a video where I took and cut a lipstick pickup apart and took it apart and dissected it. And I don't know if it did. I can't remember if it did any kind of good views or not. I just remember like learning about it because I never had seen one inside, right? I didn't know what one was. I knew, what they looked outside. I disassembled it and I reassembled. I still have that same pickup. If you go to that video, just all you have to know is that pickup is actually it's in a cartridge right now on my Somnium guitar, but it was normally in another guitar, but I still use that pickup because after I took it apart, I rewound it and put it back together. I was actually, at that time, I was cheating. I didn't have any content. I was like, oh, I don't have any content. And I was like, I got to make content. And I was thinking of things I had to do. And I'm like, I got to take apart that pickup and learn about lipstick pickups because I was trying to teach myself about lipstick pickups. And I go, why don't I just show people, I'll take it apart. So I did a video where I took it apart, but I never explained why I took it apart. I just showed the video of me taking it apart. The reason I tell you that is because, one, it's a cool video. You get to see inside of a lipstick pickup. Two, it's funny when you see comments like, oh, why did you ruin that pickup? Well, I never told you guys, but I actually was putting it together. Because here's why I didn't tell anybody. Because I wasn't sure I could put it back together. I assumed I could, but I hadn't seen inside it yet. I didn't know what was going to happen. So, and this is before I learned to overdub, as you know, as a skill set. So I didn't have that ability. So when you watch that video, it's me talking in real time and showing you stuff. I didn't know to go back over and overdub, and give you more information later like I do now. So I like the Dane Electro pickups, lipstick pickups, but here's what I can tell you about lipstick pickups that will help you. Like P90s, I will tell you that most of the inexpensive ones are perfect. There are certain things that make a pickup expensive. There's certain things that don't. One of the things that don't is lipstick pickups and like P90 pickups don't really need to be super expensive because there's not a lot going on with them that's very complicated to do. Grumpy Mike Guitar says, can you, he means me, give us a hint on what date we will be able to order a PRS SE DGT? My understanding from you guys is that some of you have already ordered them through Sweetwater. So I would imagine if you look, the way the embargo things work with companies, I'm sorry, I'm looking at something. I was just confirming stuff, what I'm telling you. Stores can't advertise, can't disclose. I, of course, because I've been sent the product, I was part of the agreement is they send me an embargo saying I can't show you the guitar. I can't talk about the guitar beforehand. However, they released a video of and told you it's coming. So I can say what's out there. So that's what's out there. It's coming and it's January 10th. That being said, most PRS dealers probably either have them now or are about to have them soon, I would assume. So if you want a DGT PRS, I would pick your favorite dealer and call them and go over there or go down there and say, hey, you want to order this guitar and get on the list if that's something you so wish to do. That's how you can do it. The only thing I will tell you is this. I don't know. I don't know, I don't want to give you that. And make sure you order one before it's too late because once they come out, they're going to sell out. That's possible, but you gotta understand there's also other guitars coming out that are cool too. So it's not just the DGT. So if you're really into the DGT, I would go for it. What I can tell you, if this is what's great, without doing the review, what I can tell you about the DGT is nothing about it disappointed me in the deep dive of it. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, this is a joke, right? So if you're worried about anything, if you've ever played a quality SE Paul Reed Smith guitar, this is as quality SE as any other SE. So there's nothing like, bad. You guys are like, they're going to sell it one day. They might, but they'll make more. They make more. It's not limited edition. It just came out. Again, the thing that you have to understand with guitars, with all this stuff, is just it's as simple as this. The day it comes out, you either have to be the first to get it or you have to wait. And we're a little warped right now because of, like I said, because of COVID. It's like sometimes you have to wait years. That's not always the case now. I think we're getting back to the old days where you just wait a couple more months and then it's back in stock. So, okay, hold on. All right. Next question is from Tom, who says, "Hey, have I played a Cole Clark guitar? I absolutely love Cole Clark guitars. And if so, what do you think?" I absolutely love Cole Clark guitars. Cole Clark guitars. Probably my favorite acoustic guitar. Period. Cole Clark. Cole Clarks are made in Australia. Fantastic guitars, using mostly woods that are indigenous to Australia. Very cool. They use a very interesting and cool pickup bracing system that is neat. I used to have one. I don't have one anymore. I sold it to a friend who absolutely fell in love with it. And at that time, I was a dealer for them. And the dealer distribution we were dealing with was in their distribution dealer. I was a dealer. They had distribution in Canada. And so that's how we got them. We weren't buying them straight from Cole Clark. Cole Clark had a distribution for Northern America, and it was out of Canada. And so I sold mine to my friend, and they would sell so fast because they were so good. They're expensive, but they were good. And the distribution in Canada no longer was the distributor, and so we had no way to get Cole Clark. So that's why I didn't buy one. Or that's why I don't have another one, because I didn't buy it. And Ralph wanted one too, same thing. And so every once in a while I still look online and think about buying one, but the problem is I have other acoustics, and again, trying to justify everything. So part of that is, again, where sometimes I balance my personal life and my YouTube life of like, okay, do I want this guitar? But keep in mind, if I buy this guitar, that's money I could be buying guitars to do the, for the videos and stuff. So you try to balance this stuff, right? But I could see where I'd buy a Cole Clark again. For sure. It's definitely a guitar I want to do. I think they're cool. I like everything about them. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. I love the way they sound. I like the vibe. I like what they're going for. I just like them. So there you go. Check out Cole Clark is what I'm trying to say, everybody. Check them out. Damien says, how can I tell if my guitar has only a static problem or grounding issue? Well, okay, I get a pickguard static, but I also get a loud hum and pops. Those sound like two different issues to me. If I touch the pickguard screw, dryer sheets help, but don't solve. Well, remember the static charge, just because we use the dryer sheet. See, this is the problem with doing that is you have a static charge just because you try to dissipate it with some kind of dryer sheet or something like that, which will work. It's come right back because it got static charge somehow. It's going to get static charge again. And sometimes you haven't gotten rid of all the static. So you got to keep doing it over a period of time. That's something to think about. And also, if you have a grounding issue, it's very, very, very apparent. So a grounding issue is not going to be some crackling when you touch, and it's just going to be a very loud, apparent thing. I just realized. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so I didn't turn off my phone apparently. So that's, like I said, do the sheets again, and also be thorough and go through everything as well, and that will help it. But also, if you think it might be a grounding issue, it's not going to sound subtle. A static issue is very subtle. A grounding issue is very not subtle. It's the best way to think of that. Derek says, is an effects loop worth dismantling my huge pedal board to use? Suggestions. Is the effects loop worth dismantling my huge pedal board to use? I'm going to say no, but this is one of those questions where I don't really use a lot of pedals. On the effects loop of the amps, I think what you're talking about is like where you're running some pedals through the front of the amp, and I'm assuming this is what the question is. You're running some pedals in front of the amp, you're running some pedals through the effects loop. That's the best way to do it. I don't really know. I kind of think this way: do what's best for your tone. That's kind of sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's the only way I can go with what the information I have. Ben says, Happy New Year. I'm deployed in Europe, Army, HUA. And it says, Wrocław, Poland. Wow. I don't even know how to say that. Roar, W-R-O, Wrocław. I'm saying it so bad. Poland is seeking 7,427 guitarists to break the guitar record. Hey, that's me. I'm the guitar record. Wait, I think. To play Hendrix, Hey Joe. Oh, no, it's not the guitar record. I'm part of the record, largest rock band in the world. We did it in 2019, and then they were supposed to break it in 2020, but then COVID. So I have two like participation world record. Somebody asked me about these world record things, what I have them for. So being part of the world's biggest pedal board, it's a participation trophy. You know, participation trophies, because that's a thing now. And I got one for being in the largest rock band in the world. Anyway, so Poland is seeking 7,423 guitarists to break the world record. They'll be playing Hendrix Hey Joe. May 1st, I'm going with soldiers. Want to join us? I can't. There's no way I'm going to fly to Poland this year. There's just no way. I have no plans to do so in May. I wish. In my world, Ben, everything is like a year out. If I want to do something like that, it has to be planned a year now. Isn't that horrible? It's just how it works. Between my kids, my personal life, my businesses, everything's like I need a huge window to join. But I love the idea. I would love to do another one. I hope you guys all get it's a cool little like paper plaque thing that you get. It's not a plaque, but a paper card. It's cool. Jeff says, thoughts on the Ibanez AZs compared to Squires? So I think he means AZES is the affordable. I want to do a video of one of those. They were one of the ones I was ready to buy. I was looking at them. That's probably what I'll buy, but I ended up buying the Ibanez with the flip-flop finish, and then Ibanez sent me a guitar, and then your kind of brain is like, well, I don't want to do 10 Ibanezes on the channel. Like, it's a little old. But I have not put my hands on the Ibanez ES guitars to so I don't have a reference. But that's one that's on my radar for a deep dive for sure. David, thank you for his super chat. The Rockin' Donkey, what a great name, says, are you familiar with the Bigsby pedal? Nope, never heard of it. Do you have any thoughts on it compared to the Digitech Whammy? I've never heard of it. I didn't know Bigsby made a pedal. Love the Digitech Whammy. So I'm hoping now that Cortec owns Digitech, and there's hinting that they're bringing the Digitech products back, like the Whammy. They'll make a mini Whammy. That's really what I want. I want, like, how Morley did too, but you know how MXR made the mini wah that's like this big, size of a Boss pedal? That's what I want. A Digitech Whammy the size of a Boss pedal. So something like that probably exists, and I'm probably just missing it, but that's what I would love. I always felt like I bought a Digitech Whammy, and then, like a lot of people, I didn't use it, so then it came off the board, and then slowly it gets sold because it's not being used. I think if it was made smaller, I would use it. So okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm laughing because you guys are like, everybody gets a trophy. Yes, you get a participation trophy. Okay. So Brian, I think he's clarifying on the pedal question, the pedal board question. He says, hey, he has his modulation in front of the amp, and he wants to know if he should use the loop. I like the loop personally. This is what Brian's saying. I love the loop personally, but it's a 4-wire hassle. He's talking about the 4-wire method, 4-cable method. So first, I tell everybody, if you're going to do any of that stuff, just Google the 4-cable method and check that out. It works really, really well. I like to run delay reverb through the effects loop of the amp. That's something I do. The only time I will run delay reverb in front of an amp is if I'm just using the amp as a clean channel and then all the sounds are coming from the pedals. Otherwise, I run delay reverb through the amp. Other modulations are probably great through there too, but I don't run anything through the front. I don't run anything through the effects loop except for those two pedals. That's it. Maybe sometimes looper. Those are just mine, but I love them through the effects loop for sure. So, okay. All right. Then we have Adam. What does Adam say? Adam says, "Hey Phil, Happy New Year. New guitar day. A Relic Valiant Jupiter. It's my first Relic guitar, and it's really freeing not to worry so much." Oh, well, that's what I said. That's the best thing about Relic guitars. You're not going to worry about who scratches it, who drops it, who does what. It's great. No issues. It's very liberating. So I have a couple guitars that's their whole purpose in life. It's just, I just don't want to think about anything. So like my Mira, I have one of my SGs is like that. Obviously I have a Relic Strat, but I mean, I'm not talking about just Relic guitars. I'm just talking about guitars. I just drag them around, don't care, lean them up against things if they get dinged. There's just something liberating about that feeling. And, you know, that's the best way. I got this great SG with P90s that I got it for a steal. You know, it's one of those like, you know, I had a Squire that I was using forever. If you guys remember, I had a Squire Bullet that I loved. Had that on the channel forever. And that was kind of like my go-to, drag it around the house, drag it wherever I go guitar. And then one day I just got my hands on this SG with P90s and I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. And then that's what swapped it out, you know, kind of like the next guitar to destroy. NatureBox83 just want to thank me for all I do. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate that. This sign-on is And My Axe. And My Axe. It says, Phil, like you, I play rock bass. Joined a band with a drummer who plays a nice Roland E kit. Would a Phil Jones 2.7 or 4.7 be enough for stage monitoring with PA support? I want to downsize my 410. I love the Phil Jones stuff. My only complaint with Phil Jones, besides the price, because it's pretty expensive stuff, is I feel like this is what kind of killed it for me. Once you play the Phil Jones amps, they sound great, but then you play inexpensive, like the Fender Rumbles, or you play the TC Electronics makes some pretty inexpensive bass amps. There's some PV bass amps that are ultra lights. They're not that heavy and they sound pretty good, almost as good at a fraction of the price. And I think the whole Phil Jones thing, the problem is that it gives you a lot of clarity as a bass player, but they're not light. They're heavy for what they are. So, I mean, they're small, but when you pick up, I mean, they're not like boat anchors, but when they're small, in other words, I'm just trying to say there's nothing about the Phil Jones amps I can say that I would recommend to anyone over anything else. And I like them. I just don't know. I mean, I get it. It's going to be smaller than your 410, but nowadays, in today's market, you can get a 210 bass combo or a 112 bass combo that will do what the 2.7 or the 4.7 cabinets will do from Phil Jones for a fraction of the price and the weight. I'm not saying money is the only issue, so sometimes if it's what you want. But the thing about Phil Jones that kind of stinks for me is, like I said, they're not super light for what they are. It's for the size. They're small, so because they're small, they're not heavy, but they're not light. And I have throttled out their speakers more than enough times. Like I've been playing, and it's just the speed. You could just feel it. The amp just is it's at the. And me, although I've heard a ton of bass players have great luck with Phil Jones, all my Phil Jones amps, my low B has just put them into the point where I'm like, oh, I'm a little too scared of that. So I still like them, but I think as a recommendation, I can't give it. So plus, keep in mind, one of the things that sucks about Phil Jones for me is my Cub, which I think I paid $800 for, it just crapped out on me one day. It just died. So, and they didn't support it anymore. You know, it was just dead. No warranty because the warranty was out. So it just became a boat anchor, and it was, So, Didi Obe. I'm gonna say Diddy Obe. That's how I'm gonna say you're gonna say it. Says, hey, Happy New Year. Rookie question. Is there a quick way to check a wire new pickups? Wait, is there a quick way to check wired pickups correctly without putting the strings back on? Yes. Is there a way to check your pickups to make sure they're wired correctly before you put your strings on? Yes, absolutely. There's a ton of ways to do it. First of all, you can use a multimeter and plug in it attached to a guitar cable like I do in all the geeky stuff sections of the videos, and go through the pickups and see how they're reading. And I'll tell you if they're, because obviously you'd see like if it would full, you give you full pickup. And if of course you're going coil splitting, you'll be able to see that. The other thing you can do is just the old test that I take an Allen wrench, just a basic Allen wrench, because they're always laying around my shop. Put the volume down on the amp just enough to where you can hear it, and tap on the actual slugs, and that'll tell you what's going on. So when you tap on your bridge pickup, then switch to the neck pickup, tap on that, and if you're coil splitting, tap on that, tap on each coil. You'll hear it all. Just like I said, you're not worried about that. You won't damage the pickups tapping on them, unless you're smacking them hard, but don't do that. But if you're tapping them, but obviously you can always damage a speaker by doing something like that. So just keep the volume low. I have a little practice amp. That's what I use it for. Super easy. That's how we all do it. It's easy. Okay. Okay, we have Mike 99D says, I was recently thinking about replacing my 1958 Stratocaster. However, they're incredibly expensive. Why? Well, why are they expensive? Because they're old and people want them. If you don't want them, I'd sell it, pocket the money, and buy something you do want. That's the thing. I am not a vintage guy, and on any, and it's not even vintage. I'm not into guitars. I was just having this issue. I was just thinking about this issue today. I have a guitar that I bought and it's worth 5 times what I paid for it. Because certain guitars they go up in value. Sometimes they go up a little bit. Sometimes they double. This guitar has gone up 5 times. So if you're doing that math, if I paid $1,000, it means it's worth $5,000. If I paid $5,000, it's worth $25,000. So those are the numbers. So you understand what I'm saying when I say it's worth 5 times what I paid for it. I love the guitar. I was playing it today. I pulled out and I was playing it. And the whole time it makes me miserable as much as it gives me joy. It makes me joy because I want it, but also I go, it's not, I wouldn't pay that, what it's worth for it. And so my brain's like, just sell it off. Because there's nothing that attaches a guitar to me to the point where like I have to have it forever. I'm not going to sell it, but that's my whole point. My whole point is, if you have a 1958 Strat and you're not saying it's the greatest thing ever, just sell it and then make your money and buy what you want. Buy a Relic 58 reissue, right? You'll have a lot of money left over. And again, it's up to what you're into, right? Some players are into having lots of guitars. Some players are into having expensive guitars. Some people are having vintage guitars. Everybody has their own thing they're into. So my thing, what I'm into mostly is I go through phases of what I like. Like sometimes I want to play metal and I play metal. Sometimes I'll play 7 strings. Then I'll play rockabilly, so I get a Gretsch. Like I go through phases of stuff I just want to do. But so that's why there's different guitars here. It's just because there's certain things I just, I'm in that mood for a while. James F. did a super chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That was a huge super chat. Okay, I'm sorry. We're looking at questions. By the way, that philosophy, why I have that is if you work in a music store, or worse, own a music store, worse meaning you're going to hear more of this because you're there all the time. Every player, not every player, but the majority of players all have the same stories, right? Like you hear the same stories all the time. And it's actually kind of humorous, right? And it's not like you get bored or sick of them or anything, but you just keep hearing the same stories. And one of the stories that you hear all the time is always like the guitar that got away, right? Or the guitar they should have never sold. And it's a dude thing. I'm just going to call it where it needs to be called because I've never had any of the female guitar players come in the store and ever give me the story. It's always a dude, and they always want to tell you the guitar that they sold that they should have never sold, right? And I don't mean like like I had this, I had an Ibanez and I liked it and I got rid of it and I can't find one place like it. It's always the same. Like I had a 62 Strat. I had a 58 Les Paul. I had a blah, blah, blah Rickenbacker, right? Backer. It's always some exotic, expensive vintage guitar that they had. It's always precursored with how they bought it for nothing. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just saying it's the story. It's like you hear it so much. But here's the thing that makes me chuckle. The story never is never rooted into the emptiness in their heart of missing the guitar. It's always the regret of the money they missed out on. So this is why I kind of laugh. So they'll go, oh, what's a 62, whatever. What's a 62 blah, blah, blah worth? Or what's a 58 thing worth? And you go, I don't know. And someone will go, oh, it's worth like 50 grand or 20 grand. And they'll go, oh, I bought one once for $200. I sold it for $600. Worst mistake I ever made. I wish I would have kept it. And I always think to myself, do you really wish you would have kept it, or you just want 50 grand? Why don't you wish, let me ask you a question. If you were on a desert island and you kicked the bottle and the genie came out and he says, I'll give you 3 wishes, would one of those wishes be like, hey, I really want my 58 Les Paul back so I can sell it? Or wouldn't you just go, what's a 58 Les Paul worth? And they go, 80 grand. And you go, okay, I want 80 grand. So my point is, a lot of players really don't, they don't really miss the guitars as much as they missed the opportunity they had to make some more money, right? I look at sometimes those stories the same way somebody says, I once owned 3,000 shares in Apple stock, right? Or something like that. And I go, okay. And they go, and I sold it. And you're like, okay. So the moral of the story is you wish you had the money from not selling it. You wish you didn't sell it so you can sell it now for more money. That I understand the regret. We all have that kind of regret. But that's not a passion thing, so I can't really identify to it, right? To me, I wish I had more money. It's an easy wish, right? If I had more money, I'd buy more crap, I guess. So to me, it's the only time I find when somebody says, like, I have this guitar and it's expensive, I should get rid of it. Unless it's the story of like, oh, I've played it my whole life. I wrote this song with it. It's on this album I made. I mean, when I see rock stars, it's not because they're rich and they keep these expensive guitars they played. I think it's because it's part of this history of their life, So I don't have a story like that. I don't have a story where, like, I have a vintage instrument that was given to me or bought for me, or I bought at a certain time, or I mowed all these lawns and I bought, that's a guy I met. I met a guy once who's like, he mowed a ton of lawns and he bought a 59P bass. Was it 59P? That's not a right bass. What am I talking about? 69P bass? It was a 9. Maybe it was a 79P bass. I just remember the story he told me. He's like, he mowed all these lawns and bought this bass, and he was like $200-300 back in the day, and he's still playing it to this day. And I remember because he brought it in and the frets were worn to nothing. They were like paper thin. So I understand it. Like, right? He has a moment in time in his head where he's like mowing lawns, first time making his money, buying something he loves and having that forever. There's no story like, I don't have a story like that. My story would be like, there's no lawns in Arizona. I once mowed rocks. No, but I did pull weeds. I'm not making this up. And I did pull weeds and one summer, and I did buy an Emerson cassette deck. A little I don't want to call it a boom box because there's 2 little 5-inch speakers in a cassette thing at the Kmart, because that's the kind of money I made then. The kind of money where you could go to Kmart and get an Emerson cassette deck. But there's no part in me that says, oh, I wish I still had that Emerson cassette deck, because I remember pulling all those weeds in the heat one summer. So I get the whole draw to, like, if you had something iconic like that from your hard labor from a kid, mine is just a crappy cassette deck. So, all right. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is from Grumpy Digga says, good day, Phil. Missed sale of recording gear for Logic X on Mac. Help. Never had a PRS like a Custom 20. I don't even know what that means. What are you saying? Missed the sale for recording gear. Okay. For Logic X on Mac. Okay. Just calls the reputable dealer and ask for the sale. Think about sales. When a dealer runs a sale, sometimes it has to be approved in the manufacturer, all these things going on. But keep in mind, never be afraid. Like, if there's in our industry, if there's a sale and you missed out on it, find a dealer, call that dealer, see if they'll make that sale. They probably will. Like I said, it's really common in our industry. He says, next part was never had a PRS like Custom 24 with HDX head cab. The vet, I have no idea. I have no idea where the rest of this goes. But at the core of this question, we're going to just say that it's about this. You're missing out on the sale, and just ask a dealer. I know you're in Australia, so that makes it even worse. But I would ask a reputable dealer to see if they honor the price. A lot of them will. Curtis C says, Curtis C, like courtesy, like not courtesy, like being courteous, but it's Curtis, like his name's Curtis, then the letter C, says, do you think Polyphia is the future wave of guitar music and signature guitars? Do you think their collaboration with Vi brings them any cred? I like Polyphia. So I interviewed those guys, those kids. They're kids to me. I look like the soccer dad in between them. I did that interview in Germany. It was quite funny. I could tell that story. You guys like, I'll tell the story. So the Ibanez guys came up to me. I was at an event in Germany. Polyphia was brought out. Now, here's the funny thing about this. Companies have trouble understanding the world that this is why I got into YouTube in the first place. It's because I realized in 2017 that this industry had no clue about the internet or social media as a whole. And although I felt like, like a lot of us, like we were enthralled watching all this YouTube content and stuff, I thought it was old hack. And then I realized like this whole industry is like, no, guitar magazines, that's the future, eh? Like they just literally, it was weird. And so what's funny about this is I go to this guitar event and Ibanez, who's really cool. I like the guys in Ibanez in Germany. They brought up Polyphia because that's what these companies do. They'll sponsor the event and then they bring artists. And what they don't understand is that channels like us, we're gear channels, not music channels, right? Like Rick Beato goes to an event, he's going to interview the artist, right? When I interview artists, my views drop dramatically, massively. Think about this. On my second channel, I did a video just talking about a piece of gear the other day. I did 3 times the views of what my Zach Wilde interview did, right? It's just how that works. It's a gear channel, so you're more focused on the gear than on, let's say, the musicians. But musicians are part of the story, and music is part of the story of gear, so that's why we talk about it. But this is not why the story is important. What's important about the story was I had never heard of Polyphia at that time, okay? So the guys at Ibanez came up to me and said, hey, Phil, we've asked all the YouTube channels to interview Polyphia. No one's doing it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who they are. I think I had seen one of their songs, right? Something like that. And I was like, okay, so I'm a good dude. I'll go with the story. So I go, or the vibe. I said, I'll do it. I'll interview them tomorrow. They said, okay, because I knew that they had signature guitars with Ibanez, and that's the gear channel thing. So that night at the hotel room, I watched all their stuff, listened to the music, was blown away, became a huge fan overnight. Took me no time because if you want to check out Polyphia, the big song is GOAT, G-O-A-T. Check that out. So here's why the story is funny, because it's not in the video. So when I got there, I met Tim and Scott. Tim's the lead guitar player and Scott's the rhythm guitar player, so to speak. Super nice dudes, man. Super cool. Very chill, laid back, talented. Oh my God. They were sitting there playing when I walked in. They were rehearsing. And they rehearsed all their stuff with they had no effects or sounds. They were just playing and then... so to me, it was weird. It's like it would be like watching Steve Vai or Van Halen or George Lynch playing, their guitars on a clean amp with no distortion, just doing all their stuff, just playing it clean. So this is why it's funny. We go to the video, I introduce myself, we talk, I figure out what we're going to talk about with their guitars. And then I said, I don't want to mess up your name. So how do I say it? Do I say Polyphia? And they said, doesn't matter how you say her name. And I go, well, it does. Because the internet loves it when you say a name incorrectly in any way, they have to correct you. So I said, I'd like to get it right. It's Polyphia, right? And they said, I think it's funny if you say it wrong. And I said, okay. So we sit down and they start the camera and I go, hi, I'm with the guys from Periphery. What I didn't know, that didn't go over well. Because apparently, like messing up their name and then calling them a totally different band, they were mad. So the video is great. I just want to let you know that's the precursor. That's how it walked into this. So I walked in with kind of like my joke went sour fast. Like it wasn't like it was too. I went too far. Like if I said Polyphia, right, they would have laughed. But calling them another band was not the right thing to do, apparently. So that obviously is amended from the beginning of the video. That's why it's not the beginning of the video. Because, but they were good guys and good things. So back to Polyphia and Tim and Scott and those guys. And the core of this question, which is, are they the future? I want to get this question right again. It says, do you think Polyphia is the future wave of guitar music? I will say this. It is obviously something because it's copied heavily. Excuse me. When you see bands, whoever the band is, it's very easy to see like all of a sudden there's these offspring of these bands, right? The copycat bands are out there. Polyphia to me has a unique sound. And all of a sudden, that sound is everywhere. I can't even go on Instagram now when I'm scrolling through Instagram, and it's like every fifth guitar player is doing some kind of Polyphia type sound or thing, right? So obviously, it means it's a sense. What I like about Polyphia is, if you don't like it, I understand because it's different. But it's one of the things I find impressive about it is it definitely seems to appeal to a younger guitar audience and an older guitar audience. Because let's face it, regardless of whether you like Steely Dan, Boston, Sepultura, right? Brad Paisley, right? I mean, Van Halen, wherever you come from as an origin of music and a lover of music, you still understand hard to play. And so what I mean is like metal guys, when they see jazz, they don't have to like it, but they're not stupid enough in most cases to say it sucks because they understand it's technically hard. Does it make sense? So there's an appreciation of it. I think that's what I see when I see Polyphia. I think a lot of musicians like the music. I like the music. I forced my daughter to listen to a lot of it, and I think she's actually becoming a fan of it because at first she was not getting it. But my point is that I think the technical aspect pops. I really enjoyed the collab they did with Steve Vai. I thought that was freaking awesome. So, and so to say that the future of guitar playing, I think the future, I don't think all guitar is going to sound like them soon, but yes, have they created a genre of music that I identify and with my lame dude, old dude because that's the problem, it's kind of like I'm at the age now and I'm at the point in my life, and I have been for a long time, where if somebody mentions something really cool and they go, have you heard of them? And I go, if I have, they probably weren't cool. But right? Because obviously. So I think that they have created a vine or not a vine, a trial of music. By the way, I was just watching the Rick Beato interview with Tim Henson, and it was a great interview. I highly recommend that. He comes across better. Obviously, he infuriated the entire universe by saying the word boomer bins. I don't know why. Boomers should never have no shame of being a boomer. I don't understand the boomer shame. I don't understand the shame of anything for the most part of it. Own it. I tell my wife, I go, you should own whatever people say about you that is there to infuriate you. Own that. Take it from them. When you're younger, I get it. We were all upset, but now I'm old enough to go, you know what? Calm down. Have some dip. So I recommend him. Now, the second part of this question is, do you think their collaboration with Vai brings them any cred? Absolutely. And vice versa. I think it brings Vai into the fold, into the younger audience fold again. I think it did wonders for his career and for them to do as well. So yeah, I liked it. And I thought they did a really good job. He didn't seem out of place. Musically, right? It was cool because I didn't know, like you guys, I watched it and I didn't know what was going to happen. It was really cool to see them blending. So Dave says, boomers invented the sound electric guitar. Absolutely. Like I said, there's, you get the idea. There's that, but the boomer bend is funny. That's what I'm saying. Like if there was like if they called it a Gen X distortion or whatever, make fun of stuff, I wouldn't be upset. I like the idea. To me, when I hear the term boomer bend, I'm like, yeah, I want to hear a good boomer bend. You know why? Because that's some soul, damn it. You can have some soul. Technical musicians have always crapped on soul and vice versa as a whole, right? I mean, so I like technical music and I like soulful music. And some will argue right now they are the same thing. I agree with you, but I'm just saying as a whole, as an argument, people tend to argue that technical is without soul, and soul has obviously is not as technical. I'm just saying I like both. And then the last part of that question was, and will they change signature guitars? No, I don't think. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the new players' signature guitars, and it's not because I don't like their music. I love their music, but what I find interesting about Tim is I love the idea of his new classical guitar. I think that's a fantastic instrument. I love that's where he went with that. But as an electric guitar with Ibanez, I think Ibanez, unless they have something new to offer, it's just the same old guitars for me, for artists. But I mean, Slash just played a Les Paul. It wasn't like special either. So I don't know. So I'm just looking at some of you guys' comments. And like I said, if you guys haven't heard Polyphia, check them out. If you don't like it, I understand. If you love it, I understand. So, like I said, I appreciate it. That's for sure. Like I do a lot of technical music. I just like it. BizTrack10 says, hey, Phil, I hope you're having a great week. I love your show. Thank you so much. What is your favorite compressor pedal and why? It's the Keeley compressor pedal. I don't even own any compressor pedals besides the Keeley anymore. When I downsize all my pedals, to me, the gold standard is the Keeley compressor. There are a ton of amazing compressors. I mean, I could name for hours all the great compressor pedals. And please, don't think you should sell a compressor pedal you have right now going, oh, well, Phil says the Keeley one's the best. I love Robert Keeley. He's super nice. I like that pedal. It's an industry standard pedal. That's the one. I'll tell you. Actually, my second favorite compressor pedal was the Ego compressor by Wampler. Then third, I had an old Rolls compressor that I absolutely love. But I used to have a collection of compressor pedals out of control, and I just love compressors. But over time, I've used them less and less. So, but I like the Keeley one. That's the one I kept. Meester says, hey, pickup and guitar suggestions to make a Keith Richards. I don't know what this is. McWeber? McCauber? I don't know what this is. Kiesel, Schecter. I like Kiesel. I know it's some kind of Keith Richards guitar. I'm not versed. I don't know which one you're talking about. But I like Kiesel. So there you go. Out of those three, I mean, I like Schecter, I like Gino, I like Reverend, but I still think Kiesel makes some of the best guitars for the price if you're going to go semi-custom and if you're going to go. So there you go. 94 Dodge Dude says, hey, would I ever do a collab with Dylan Talks Tone? Well, I get asked every once in a while. These are the questions you get asked on YouTube about collabs with people. Like, will I collab with this channel or collab? I don't know what that would mean. We've had people come on the show. It always was a dismal failure. And I mean dismal. I mean, it just, the viewer, the ratings, whatever that is, the views, everything drops. Again, this isn't like views. Don't confuse this with big YouTube channels like the views. Like, it's money. It's not money. Whether I make $78 or $106 is not really how I make my life decisions on my YouTube channel. But obviously, it's not very gratifying to make content that no one seems to give a crap about. It doesn't really feel like you put your hours, because everything is hours of time into. So I don't know. It's not a particular collab with anybody. I don't know who I would do collabs with. There's not like a channel I would say like, oh yeah, I would do a collab with. I have done. By nature, I have to try things. Okay, I am not a intelligent person by any means. I just try things to the point where I have so much experience in areas that I can come off intelligent, sometimes, right? So they'll say, I mean, obviously experiences are a very painful way to get educated. Okay, so I'm I am painfully educated in a lot of things because of my experiences. That being said, I've done the YouTube events. I went to them. I went to the Git Cons and the Git Heads and the things. And as I've said before, I've never done any of them a second time. And here's why. Although I enjoyed immensely hanging out with YouTubers and the idea of hanging out with somebody who does what I do and connect with somebody who can actually say something that relates to me, because it's just like you, if you have a job where you have coworkers, these are like, these are supportive coworkers. Like, oh, I know what it's like to feel this, this kind of experience. What I found from all those events was none of you gave a crap about the content. And so the workload becomes like, okay, I do all this work and I make content and nobody really watched it. And let's be very clear. One of the benefits of what you do, if you're going to do work on this platform, is this is my room. I get to get up, have a cup of coffee, turn on a camera, and make a video. It's pretty effortless. I mean, there's like, it's hours of, work, don't get me wrong, but it's not a hard thing. When you do collabs and stuff, when you go to these events, it's traveling, it's hotel, it's, working with people, figuring out how to work with them. And so I'm basically saying, like, I want to, I'm always interested in some idea, like if it works with a collab or something like that. But in my experience, there's not a whole lot of reasons to do it. So if I can come up with a reason, I will definitely do it. And like I said, maybe more importantly, if I was to work with somebody like, with Dylan, I would probably do an interview style for the second channel. Just interview him. You know what I mean? Like, his, obviously what it's like to make pickups and so on. I find people who make a living doing something more interesting than people who are really known. Like, to me, interviewing Paul Reed Smith is not as interesting as interviewing Ola Strandberg. I am very successful at making a living doing something I want to do. That isn't bragging. You can't go to a party and brag. I can't sit there with a glass of wine and go, I pay my bills on time. Right. It's not a huge brag. Okay. But I get to do something I like to do, and I've been doing it now for 20 years, and I pay my bills on time. So that being said, I appreciate people who work and get to do what they like to do as well. So I find that interesting, because I think a lot of people deep down would be happy with that as well. Not everybody's like, not everybody's dreaming about how to become a millionaire and buy a giant house. Some of us are just like, how do I own a nice house and pay my car payments or whatever and do something I want to do? So I like the idea of interviewing small builders, people who are, like I said, people like Ola. I identified Ola Strandberg because, like I said, he quit his corporate job, started doing this. I quit a corporate job, started doing this. Same thing, same logic, right? I like that. So there's my thoughts on that. Oh, Meester says, okay, use Fender. So he's basically going to go with the used Fender. So, okay. Spencer says, hey, have you checked out the Velaton GP200 or more GE300? I love your thoughts. Before I buy anything guitar related, I rely 100% on your insights. I have not tried those. Like I said, I'm never on the radar for that kind of stuff. I mean, it's very rare, and it's not something, that you guys, now you put it on my radar. It's possible to be on the channel. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that comes on the channel is the live show we discuss. And then when I hear something or I think about something, I go, oh yeah, that was brought up. Let's talk about it. So this will put it on my radar. Thank you. Michael says he loved the Ibanez video and he pre-ordered the AZ Prestige. The AZ guitars are great. They're really great. The AZ guitars really messed me up because they were one of those guitars where, again, you play a guitar and it's, it feels expensive because it's an expensive guitar, but then you compare it to the other brands out there like Sir and that are twice the price or 2.5 times the price, and you feel like it's not much different in quality. And so, I'm always excited about a quality a price proposition. In other words, something that's actually, good quality, but a better price. Faith says, would love to see you have a look at the Ibanez EHB basses, especially the fretless. Would that be something you do? You know, what's great is I worked really hard to build a reputation. What am I talking about? A relationship with the Ibanez guys. And what really happened that sucked was COVID killed that. Okay, so Ibanez wasn't working with any U.S. YouTubers to speak of, and like I said, the Germans arm of Ibanez was, and I kept going to Germany, and every time, and I think I told you guys this story. I finally told the German side, I said, "This is making no sense to me. I keep working with you guys, but you guys don't work with me back." In other words, like here I am at these events, you're sponsoring them. But it would be really nice to get Ibanez on my channel. I'm a huge Ibanez fan. It would be nice to get them on the channel. And so they hooked it up to where the US side would send me guitars and basses, and I would do videos, and that was great. And then COVID happened, and they were so backlogged and back ordered that they were like, we can't spare any guitars for videos. So that's what kind of dried up that puddle. And think about this, the last two Ibanez videos you see on the channel, the last one I just did the other day, that was Sweetwater reaching out to me, which was nice. And the one before that was one I bought, because again, I bought it to put it on the channel. So yeah, I mean, it's really what it's got to come down to is you guys, please put in the comments of videos. I used to tell you to reach out to the companies. We learned that was a horrible mistake. I used to think like, well, if I get you guys to reach out to your favorite companies and say, hey, you'd like to be on the channel, that might, entice them to do it. It doesn't work that way. What I learned is the companies work with who they want to work with, and there's no logic to it. Like when it comes to money, like I could tell a company that we could sell $2 million worth of guitars for them, and they work with who they want to work with, which is good for them. What I will tell you is this: put in the comments what you would like me to check out. We have continued to buy gear. Not only we don't wait for only companies to send us products, we buy products as well. We put them on the channel. So same thing. If you're interested in stuff, like I said, you never know when it's going to line up. I'll put it on the channel. So there you go. Travis says, at Phil McKnight, I just bought a 2008 Deluxe Reverb 65 reissue. Is that a good year to buy those amps? I don't know. I don't even know what year mine is. So I'm going to say yeah. Mine could be a 2008. So, I mean, I can't imagine mine's much older than that. So, yeah. I mean, not that I know of. There's no, bad years or good years for those that I've heard of. But I'm not really, like I said, I think as an amp, I think it's one of the, especially when they were not so expensive. Now they're super expensive, but just a great amp for the price. I think it's a good standard amp, Hotel Yugoslavia, thank you for the super chat. And then Meester says, Phil's not old nor vintage. That's right. I'm neither of those things. Okay, and we're going to end with Richard on this, and then I'll go. Richard says, new amp day, Bassbreaker 30R, thoughts about plugging a bass into it. Well, when it comes to amps, it's super easy. You can plug a bass into a guitar amp, no problem. It's the speaker that's the problem. So you can blow a guitar speaker. I mean, obviously, that's the thing you have to be cautious of. Keep in mind, ZZ Top and Van Halen, they would run their basses through guitar cabinets as well. So they're known for doing that. And some of the new modern speakers can take a lot more low frequency than some of the older vintage style speakers. But if you want to run your bass through a guitar amp, there's no problem doing that. But please, I would seriously consider running it through a bass speaker, because that's the thing you'll really damage. So, all right, let's, I'm in the main group now. Hold on a second. Spam says, and what do you mean I don't pay my bills? Why do you think I'm so broke? The Megadeth lyric, fantastic lyric. My favorite pay bills thing ever was Bill Burr, who said, I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be the guy that when they go to the funeral, the only thing they can say nice is, that guy, he always paid his bills. You gave him a bill and he paid it. He paid his bills. I love that joke, right? You don't want to be the guy where everybody, that's the only thing that gets to say nice at your funeral. Okay. Brian S. Guitar says, talk about the Ibanez S model you just reviewed. So I just reviewed an Ibanez S model, and I did the deep dive video on that. I like the guitar a lot. In fact, it was the best playing Ibanez I sent this to Sweetwater. I said, that was the best playing Ibanez I've ever played. I really liked the slanted fret concept. I really liked the look of the guitar was cool. The fit and finish. I mean, it was just great. If there was a weak point in that guitar, it was the pickups. And it's just, there was nothing wrong with them. Me personally, that guitar, I think I would put a super distortion in the bridge and a PAF 36th anniversary in the neck, something like that. And that would be fun. There was discussion, Sweetwater, like I said, that guitar has to go back, so it's going to have to get shipped out tomorrow or something. But there was discussion that maybe they would send me one and I get to keep it. If that ends up happening, what I will do is I will do a video where I put new pickups in it and then do that if that happens. But I got a feeling if that happens, it'll be a few months out, because if it happens, I'm just telling you. However, I am working on currently the other flip-flop Ibanez video for a video where I show you what mods I'm doing to that guitar. So Brian says he loved the S guitar, but he can't do the wizard neck. That wizard neck, if you look, that wizard neck was not very wizardy. My wife and I went to Costco last night. This is hilarious. So we were talking about this at the Costco. This is the Costco talk, was that video. And somebody put a comment in the video, why does Ibanez use the wizard name on all their necks, yet all the necks feel differently? And they do, because they use the Wizard 1 and the Wizard 2 and whatever. But a lot of companies tend to own a trademark on something, and then they tend to regurgitate that on everything because it's easy, right? It's legally easy. They own the name Wizard in the trademark of a neck, name for a neck, and so therefore they put it on everything because that's trademarked and it's controlled. So it's cheaper and easier to do it that way for a lot of companies to find things that they've already trademarked. So, or keep using things already trademarked. So that neck, to me, if you got that guitar, you would not think that's a shredder 80s metal, shredder neck. That neck was definitely like a really thin Fender-esque kind of neck. So. All right. I think we're going to call it. We did 2 hours. That was good. I hope you guys have a great weekend planned. Play some guitar, hang out with some friends and family, do all those good things, I hope. And if you work like me, have some fun, play some guitar, work a little bit. With Willful Thinker says, so when do we see the Badlands guitars? The Badlands guitars, that's embargoed to the 18th. So we get to release videos on the 18th. That's how it works. The Ibanez one had to come out the first week of January. PRS is next week. Badlands is the following week. And then I have stuff sprinkled in throughout that. So there you go. I'm excited about all that stuff. Like I said, and something, a little cool little acoustic I'm excited about. So, all right. On that note, thank you guys so much for hanging out. As always, it was awesome. I hope you guys, like I said, have a good week. I'm repeating all this. Have a great weekend. And until next Friday at 3, know your gear.